Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Today I'm reviewing Santa Monica, a game designed by Josh Wood and published by AEG. Santa Monica is a game that's going to be reminiscent of being on that pier. It's a light scoring game in which you're going to be drawing cards from a central area, drafting cards as it were, with various abilities at play as you load them into your own personal tableau until one player eventually has 14 cards, at which point the endgame will be triggered and you'll score up the points. Your turn is primarily going to consist of taking a card from one of these 8 center cards. You can only take from the bottom row, but once you do so, you'll take the row. If you take from one of the row with the tourist or the vehicle, the food truck or whatnot, then you'll get an additional bonus and they will move along. So constantly incentivizing other cards to be picked. I'll take this card. I will add it to the either bottom or top of my row, depending on whether it is a pier card or a beach card. In this case, I'm going to add it as a pier card, and I'm going to go ahead and take the benefit on the bottom corner, which is going to be 3 of these little blue meeples, put them on the area over there, and this card is going to score for, if I have a blue area on any of these sides, I will score 2 points. That little sandcastle is going to be points, and you'll notice it has a little blue area on itself. From there, the cards are going to come down. We're going to draw a new card, and it is another player's turn. The other player is going to go ahead and take this card, adding it to their tableau. The tourist is going to move, and we're going to push down that card back to our turn. We're going to take that card and add it to the beach, which is now going to give us another little blue person over there. It's going to fulfill, each of these cards are going to fulfill each other's criteria. So I'm going to get 2 sand points because this one's adjacent to a blue card, and 3 sand points because this one is adjacent to a blue card. That is primarily the mechanism at play. There's a few other things to be generally aware of. If you take these cards with circles, then you're trying to move tourists into those circles. If you take cards with movement, they'll allow you to move people into the circles, as well as other ways of getting movements, such as either these sand dollar cards, which we'll explain in a second, as well as the food truck or the tourist will give you additional benefits. So as you move people around the board, so perhaps I move these tourists over here, I move them over here, and boom, excellent, I get a little scoring thing there. At the end of the game, when you get to that 14th card, you will have an opportunity to do a final movement of reconfiguring some people around the board in order to lock them in and score points. But that is the primary mechanism of this game. You're trying to move people around, gather cards that will both give you things. They might give you sand dollars, they might give you movement, they might give you scoring opportunities, they almost all give you scoring opportunities, almost all. They might give you various tourists. And then from there, you're going to score against a variety of things. You're going to score based on your own player board. You have your little VIP that'll be moving around throughout the game. And as he moves around, he's going to drop off little footprint tokens to the various spots he visits. And those are going to score points. So you can see over here at the end of the game, I will get 1 sand dollar for each of these symbols visited on the street. So this is the street. I visited these. So that's going to give me 3 points for those 1, 2, 3. And if I move over here, boom, that's going to give me another 2, so 4, 5. So you're going to get sand dollars for your starting tile. You're going to get sand dollars for, not sand dollars, you're going to get points for your starting tile. You're going to get points for the scoring objective you used in the game. There are different scoring objectives you can use each game. There's 3 included in the game of Santa Monica in the base game. And then from there, you're going to utilize one of them in a game, and you're going to score for a variety of things. So for example, in this case, I'm scoring for each ocean group. That's going to be groups of ocean along the edge of the water. We're going to score for sets. Street and beach cards in your largest group are going to score points. And then over here, you're going to score points for each filled circle and lose points for every 2 unplaced people. So that's going to give you a driving mechanism over there. These cards will have slid down as they went. Another thing to note is going to be these sand dollar cards over here. You'll notice that there's cards that give you sand dollars. So this card over here, if I take it and add it to my tableau, I'm going to go ahead and take 2 sand dollars and I can utilize those. The primary way you're going to utilize sand dollars is some cards are going to give you points at the end of the game for having sand dollars. Alternatively, I can utilize them for any of these special actions. So on a turn, I can pay 2 or 3 sand dollars, and there's 4 of these included in the base game, so there's a few different options as to the ones you can use. But I'm going to use those and then take one of these cards from anywhere and then move a person too. So these are going to give you different ways to move things. So I can move 4 people, 1 spot, and take a card from the back row. Taking a card from the back row is immensely fun because it lets you get access to those cards that you're going. And so once again, quick recap, it's primarily taking cards until one person has 14 cards. You may have an opportunity to get extra cards through some of these actions depending on which ones are in play. Once somebody has 14 cards, you're going to resolve endgame, score according to all of your cards, score according to the scoring group, and that is primarily Santa Monica in a nutshell. Now, Santa Monica has a lot of things going for it. It is, first of all, the art is very appealing in a lightweight style. If you are someone who's, if you're someone who's drawn in by the beaches, by Santa Monica itself, this is very much going to have that thematic tie-in of it kind of feels like you're building out Santa Monica Pier. It kind of feels like the way the cards restrict you to these ocean cards, these street cards, it does feel like you're actually building out a little beach. It feels like you're trying to create and structure the beach. The art is gorgeous across every single one of these cards, bringing immense immense character into those cards. We have over here, if fishes were dishes, which is going to be its own little food thing. Now, it doesn't actually have any impact. The art obviously has no impact in the game, but it does give you this, nice little beach feel to the entire game, and that theme is going to strongly drive through in the game. The game is lightweight scoring opportunities. If you are someone who enjoys that puzzle of trying to have, these different things that feed off each other in different ways. If I get this card, it's going to score me 2 points. But then if I get this card, not only does it fulfill this card, but it lets me get points for this card as well. If I get these cards over here, they're going to build this own little chain. This symbol over here, this symbol is going to be, if I have 3 different orange icons, I will get 4 points over there, which is great. I did that, but also I'm able to move my VIP along the board, scoring points for that as well. There's lots of daisy chaining of different scoring mechanisms at play in Santa Monica. It has an aspect I've seen in, I can't think of any games offhand. What's that game? There's a game that I really like, totally blanking on the name of the game. But there are a bunch of games that let you do this. There are a bunch of games that let you have different scoring mechanisms that all feed off each other, and that is fun to build out these scoring mechanisms of the game. The game is light and simple to teach. It has a little bit of variability. The variability is primarily going to come through the way the cards enter the game, which is obviously going to be different each game. The various objectives other players are going for. This is a 2 to 4 player game. For myself, I've enjoyed it more at lower player counts. I haven't found that more players add more to the experience. They just add more to the downtime. Even playing this 2 player is the same level of fun as 3 and 4, but with more actions that you are taking as opposed to less waiting in between others' turns. But the variability, like I said, is going to come through the way those cards come out, as well as the fact that you're going to have different sand dollars and different scoring objectives in play, and potentially different starting tiles as well. So all small little ways to mix up the game experience, to mix up the way you play Santa Monica. But that, unfortunately, is where the highs of Santa Monica end. While it is a good game, while it is lightweight, it is fun, ultimately for myself, it's a game that hasn't held my attention past those initial few plays. While I like the overall game system at play, and while I like games like this that give you lightweight scoring mechanisms, for myself, Santa Monica is just not exciting enough in what it's doing. To begin with, that very art that I said is amazing and queer and little, has character to it and pulls you in. I have no personal affinity to Santa Monica Beach. Never been there, never cared for it. I'm not really a beach or nature person to begin with. So this whole theme, which might well be a pro for some people, just doesn't have me pulled in past looking at the various buildings to try to see what the inside joke is on 36 views and what's going on in this surf shop. So I do like the art, but the overall aesthetic is something that does not particularly work for me. The overall aspect of pulling cards is fun and it is rewarding, and it's why I continue to play Santa Monica for multiple plays before eventually deciding that it just wasn't exciting enough for me long term. At the end of the day, it is lightweight, it is simple, it is a solid system that I would recommend very, very easily. I'd recommend this to anyone who's looking for a lighter weight game that has enough decision space, that it is entertaining, that it is fun, that it gives you something to think over. But it also doesn't give me enough decision space for some reason. I can't clearly define what it is about some lighter weight games that resonate with me, that make a game stay with me in my collection, versus other games that I don't particularly like as much, or some that I like more than others. I don't have a clear finger on the pulse as to why this one isn't clearly pulling me in compared to others. I think the game runs a little long for the level of depth that it brings to the table. And so at the end of the day, I do like Santa Monica. I think it was fun, it was enjoyable, but it's one that just isn't really doing it for me long term. I rate this one a 3 out of 5. It's a solid game, nothing really obvious to clearly critique about it, but at the same time, nothing majorly standing out as to why this is a game that I will pull out time and time again. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one.